Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today, our father, Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
Today we are discussing the 8th episode of Season 6, The Other Guys. Fortunately, we're not talking about the Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg movie.
Which was based on this episode.
Sure.
No.
I believe it. When a Goa'uld named Khonsu discovers the location of SG1, he sends his first prime, Harak, to capture them. Meanwhile, on another planet, the three scientists, Drs. J. Felger, Simon Coombs, and Mayer, observe SG1's activities, and Felger cannot stop fanboying out over them. When SG1 is attacked by the Jaffa, Felger and his colleague, Dr. Simon Coombs, decide to rescue them, only to discover that the capture is all part of a ruse because Khonsu is actually a Tok'ra spy embedded in the System Lords. On Khonsu's prison planet, Harak, who knows about Khonsu's true allegiance, takes control after killing Khonsu and tortures SG1 for information. Felger and Coombs, disguised as Jaffa, find SG1 and help them to escape, defeat the Jaffa, and return to Earth. In the end, Felger daydreams about being romantically involved with Major Carter, but it turns out just to be another fantasy. And the scientists continue their work while trading insults. I really, really liked this episode. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on it, Father?
Yeah, this is one of the great ones. You know, it's kind of a throwaway episode. You know, it really doesn't do much to expand plot lines or anything like that. It's just fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Especially when you get the two actors. You get Patrick McKenna, who played Jay Felger, and of course John Billingsley is Simon Coombs. Of course, you know they're both great, fun comedic actors. They do a really good job in this as kind of the geeks that are kind of one of them thrown in the middle of it, one of them willingly jumping into the middle of it.
Yep.
But it's a lot of fun, and you know, of course, the other guys do actually get their chance to help save the day, even if they're not officially a part of SG1, and they don't get a smooch from Sam Carter.
Nope.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that we often joke about how long is it going to be before we reference Star Trek on this podcast, and they reference Star Trek on this episode like a couple minutes in. So
well, and of course that's meta there, because at the time John Billingsley was playing Dr. Phlox on Enterprise, so that's totally meta at that point. So, and I joke that this is a Harold Green and Dr. Phlox save SG1 because Patrick Kenna is known for the Red Green Show as Red's cousin Harold, or nephew Harold.
Yeah. What about you, Victor?
No, I like this episode too. It's one when I saw it was coming up, I was very excited. Yeah, it's a very fun episode. I think it was the first one that Damian Kindler is credited with writing, and he becomes a pretty consistent writer throughout the rest of the franchise, I believe. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Some very good character actors who we've mentioned. You know, there's a lot of really good humor in it. One thing I don't. There's a couple of things I don't like about it too, which we can get into. Some of Jack's one-liners fell a little flat, and they even kind of note that in the episode that his quips are falling. Yeah, need some work too. So I guess it's not that bad, but no, I like the the sort of the comedy of errors here and the progression, and yeah, there's just so many like great like comic beats in this that work really well, I think.
Yeah, I did like one of Jack's quips about when they're asking what's going to happen after they've been put on the Hatak, and he's explaining to Coombs and Felger about it, that some overdressed, like overacting villain is going to come in and talk about our doom. Yeah. It's like, that was perfect. Yep.
Then he counts down and the door opens and there's Eric right there. Yep.
Yeah, no, this was fun, and doesn't really do much for the plot. And I feel like having a System Lord or a Tok'ra embedded in the System Lords as a spy was kind of wasted in this episode, because that would have been an interesting plot to develop, and it's kind of just here and gone. But oh well.
Yeah, Khonsu, we hardly knew ye.
We didn't even know you at all.
Right. He probably has 2 minutes of screen time.
Yeah. But I do think they set that up. SG1 is captured, and there's some signs that it's a setup, like from the beginning, where Carter says, "Oh, Hammond just radioed in," and Jack's like, "Well, let's go. We'll go over here and just don't follow us," that sort of thing. And then so at least to the audience they reveal that pretty quickly into the episode, and then to Coombs and Felger they reveal that right after the audience does. So it's not this big long. I don't like it on shows like where, it's obvious to the audience, but the characters like bumble through it, So,
well, they even kind of point out that this is different because they're under arrest and talks to Jonas Quinn. Well, so aren't you sweating? This is your first time being arrested.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like,
like, why aren't you smiling?
Whatever.
Yeah. Which is a callback too. He was smiling first time in a death glider, first time in a submarine. Right. And so he was smiling. So Sam was like, why aren't you smiling? Yeah.
First time getting captured by the Jaffa,
yeah. And it's kind of like, Jonas has, I think, maybe 3 lines in this. He's kind of just, in the background, like sometimes he'll pop into frame, when Jack is talking to the Jaffa or something. But so not, and then, Teal gets some good lines as well. But for the most part, it's Felger and Coombs' episode, which is, I think, as it should be.
Yeah, no. I like that. Yeah, and we don't really get a lot of the main team. We get Jack more than anyone, but that's kind of always how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sam doesn't even really throw any kind of technical knowledge.
No, I like at the beginning when he's just like standing there, when Felder's just standing there watching them work, and he's just going on about how awesome they are, and the other guys are just kind of like just over it.
Yeah. Well, then he's talking, I wonder what they're talking about now. And they're talking about Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, so who do you want for the cup? Lord Stanley's cup.
I believe the Canucks have,
I believe the Canucks are the superior warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading online that actually they played that on the Jumbotron at the Canucks games, like that line.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
that year, yeah, because they were doing well that year.
I want to see an episode with Teal going to a hockey game.
Yeah, I don't think we see it, but they've obviously gone because he talks about, I took you last year.
Yeah, which is kind of a welcome change because I think half of the MacGyver episodes involve Richard Dean Anderson coaching a hockey team or, stopping a nuclear terrorist at a hockey game or something.
Yeah.
They just... The Vancouver seasons, which I think were like seasons 3 through 6 or something, they were always at a hockey game. It seemed like.
I wonder if this is a subtle reference to that.
It could be,
maybe,
or ice hockey is just such a big part of. And the other thing I don't like about this episode is the way they say Jaffa.
Jaffa,
the Canadian pronunciation.
Jaffa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that,
boot to Jaffa.
Yeah.
Like a month ago when my older brother came to visit, his kids wanted to do an English biscuit tea party. I guess they saw this online, and so they bought all these different English biscuits. This will become related. I know it sounds like a total non sequitur, but they had these cookies that were called Jaffa cakes. So I thought that was funny. I'd not heard of those before.
Yep.
So I saw them and I was just like, Cree.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like, what?
No, tea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is basically the Lower Decks episode of SG1, but it's one of, they don't really, because we had the one with all the trainees.
Yeah.
And there's more coming up where we see more of the geeks involved.
Yeah. And we get another Felger episode too next season, which is nice. We don't see Coombs again, but yeah.
I mean, it'd be fun to have John Billingsley on more.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't really... So do they ever do an episode like that where it's not centered on the main team and it's the peripheral people around them, like the support people, that isn't just played for comedy? Because so far we've just had these episodes that were basically played for comedy.
Hard to say. No, I don't think so on SG1. Maybe more so on Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything in specific. You know, again, you have these episodes where it's totally comedy, totally humor. But yeah, I can't think of like a really serious episode that doesn't involve the main team.
Yeah.
By the time we get to Universe, it's really more of an ensemble cast, and so, Dr. Rush is the main. I'd say probably the top billed actor on that, and so you do get episodes that there's really no main cast. So when you just have like an episode with 4 characters, it's
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. And those characters aren't like a main SG team either, right?
No, I mean there's military people there, but
they just kind of got thrown together due to an emergency. So
it's like Voyager.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Voyager probably should have been like, which the way Universe first season
Voyager
of Universe,
was dark and depressing.
So Battlestar Galactica.
Well, they pull it together by season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm interested to get to that one.
Yeah. I'm interested to rewatch it because I think I'd be interested to see if I was just very unfair to it the first season. But I mean, by the time it was canceled after season 2, I was like, no, it's just starting to get good. Don't do it. I want to see more of this.
I never got through the first season. I gave up on it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some.
So I'm kind of looking forward to going back and watching it. So
yeah,
it'll be fun to do that when we get there in 5 years, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah. Probably longer than that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we got all of Atlantis to go through too in the process. So
don't forget is it Infinity?
Infinity, yep.
Yeah.
And Origins, yeah, both.
Oh, let's not do Origins, please.
So
that is one I have watched.
so this episode has probably one of my favorite like gags, like funny gags in it. And it's when Coombs and Felger ring up to the mothership because their plan is they've seen SG1 get captured. And so Felger has the idea, hey, we'll hook up this Naquita generator we brought with us to these transporter rings. And if the mothership is in range, we can just ring right up. And I think we may have seen it once before, but this is kind of like the standard design of the Naquita generator that we see, at least for the next few years. The kind of, orbs on either side, the kind of portable Naquita generator. So it was cool to see that. And they just, hook it right into the crystals and ring up. But what's funny is they ring up and Felger just covering his eyes, just unloads his sidearm, firing in all directions. They ring up to an empty room and he's just shooting in every direction. And Coombs is like, what are you doing? It's just one of the funniest moments on Stargate.
Yeah, he's even carrying the gun afterwards with the slide locked back because it's completely empty.
Yeah,
he's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. It's like another magazine might be a good idea.
Yeah, I love how comically inept they are. Whereas they're good in their specific field, but missions like this is not what they're suited for.
Yeah, and aside from like being able to read Gould and kind of able to figure out their operating system on their control panel, which is how they rescue SG1, there's no moment where they're like, oh, well, we're the scientists. We'll science our way out of this. It's just them bumbling through, kind of doing the actiony hero-y things, which I think works really well.
Well, Felger, he knows the schematics of the mothership so well, And of course, I love that one scene. Go this way, and the camera's sitting there, and they cross. I meant this way.
Yeah. And I love so once they get to the planet, so they break in and they like crawl through like gonna call them Jeffries tubes, even though that's not probably what they're called, but that's what
ventilation shaft. Yeah.
Jaffa tubes.
Jaffa tubes. Yes. They get in there, they get into the cell, and that's when Jack informs them that they've completely messed up the entire mission because Khonsu is a Tok'ra agent, and then they have to go back and hide like in this back warehouse room. And then when they get to the planet, it's revealed that the first Prime knows about the whole thing. He kills him, takes over, and they were told just to wait there. And then all the Jaffa come into the room. They're able to take them down, and you get that hard cut where they go from what they put on the Jaffa armor. You get that hard cut where they ring down to the planet.
Yeah, so Khonsu has a couple loyal Jaffa who know his true identity, and they're kind of the ones who are tasked with, these loyal Jaffa are supposed to be watching over Coombs and Felger. And then the regular Jaffa who are loyal to Anubis know about this, and so they kill Khonsu's Jaffa while Felger and Coombs are hiding. And so then they put on, the loyal Jaffas. Felger and Coombs put on the loyal Jaffa's armor, which doesn't have any blast marks on it conveniently, but
it's got 2 holes.
It does? Okay, I missed that.
You can see it on there.
There's one of them had a hole in the front, and one of them had a hole in the back.
He's got his hand on his side when he's walking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally missed that. Like as many times as I've watched this. I'll have to go back and watch that again now. But I do like when John Billingsley has his glasses and is like putting them on and turns around. Just seeing a Jaffa in glasses is a kind of,
and then just like walking past all the other Jaffa and they're like nodding to them. Just like, So then after that, they get to they're getting to where the base is to rescue SG1, and a Jaffa recognizes that they're not Jaffa and comes to get them. And Felger shoots him with he zats him. And Coombs just starts yelling at him. He's like, you shot him. It's like, no, I zatted him.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Coombs has
totally different.
Coombs creates a distraction by getting physically ill and throwing up on the Jaffa's shoes.
Yeah, but no, it's I want to see more of these characters in the show.
Of course, I do like that they are able, like I said during my little summary, that they do get to kind of save the day. That they are able to get into the control room where they can control everything, and they're able to go through and start moving crystals, and they know what they're doing there, and they can read it, and they can figure everything out, and they get things shut down, and then Felger goes to the armory, and of course he walks in the room and immediately stumbles and drops all the zats.
Yep.
But right in perfect line. Do you notice that? It's like, I think all but the one he handed Sam was like, it fell right at the feet of the other members of SG1.
It's one of those unfortunate, or the fortunate accidents, rather.
Yeah.
Works out well for him. And then at one point, one of the running gags is Felger is joking about, is it Felger or Felger?
They say it different ways.
Okay,
different characters. Yeah, you have Jaffa, Felger. Yeah, I mean, and Sergeant or Mayer, Dr. Mayers says everything 2 different ways.
Yeah.
I don't know what was up with his character, but yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him yet. He's the third guy. He's sent back through the Stargate to warn Stargate Command, and he doesn't really get a lot to do, but
no,
he was there.
Basically, he gets to be the one to tell General Hammond that his 2 compadres decided to sneak on after SG1 and
mess everything up.
Yeah, pretty
or
much.
Or not, rather.
As I say, we did have one other Star Trek reference we didn't talk about, other than the altar of Roddenberry.
Yes.
Worship at the altar of Roddenberry. Behind Khonsu's chair is a Batleth.
Yes.
Klingon Batleth.
Yes, as soon as they showed that room, that was the very first thing I noticed. It's like there's a Batleth up on the wall, and apparently one of those swords back there is the sword from Highlander.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
The actual sword?
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
There's only one of them, so.
Yo.
Yeah. So there's a running gag throughout the episode that Jack is going to want to shoot Felger when he finds out, and then we get that towards the end where he tells him, "I'm going to shoot you." And I was wondering about that. I was like, is that crossing a line, like telling one of your subordinates that you want to shoot him?
Not if you're Jack.
That's true, I guess.
Jack said that before. He's done that before. He said that before. He's actually shot people before.
So. Yeah.
That's true.
And we even get Felger asking Coombs, like, what would Colonel O'Neill do if he was here right now? And Coombs says, "Do you want me to shoot you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So then after they return to the base, they're able to escape. You get a lot of fun zatting and those big like laser turrets. I always love when Teal'c uses those. It's fun to see.
Yeah, I love the scene while Coombs is trapped in the console room there, and so Jack and Teal'c have to go back, and they're pounding on the door. The door's about ready to break down. All of a sudden, you hear shouts and zap, 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 and that was it. All of them gone.
Yeah, and then you hear more pounding on the door, and so I mean, Coombs is in like real peril here, and I think John Billingsley plays it very well. That it's comedic, but it's still also you're like, oh, he could be caught or killed at this point, and he doesn't know what's going on the other side of the door. And then of course the door, which I never understand. I never know what the Gould Mothership, what material the Gould Mothership and Gould bases are supposed to be made out of, because it looks like stone, and here it kind of looks like stone or fiberboard or something. So I just assume that they're made out of particle board and are just flying around in space, like in these like chipboard ships. Because
they're supposed to look like bronzed stone or something like that. But then of course for the show they're actually made out of foam board or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure online there's some schematics that tell you exactly what it is. It's some sort of advanced Nakuda infused composite ceramic. There we go.
I like that. I like that idea. Yeah.
So it's very strong.
Yeah.
And it works at the speed of plot too for breaking through it.
Oh,
exactly.
Course.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you see what Jack used to break through it, and it was like one of those, like, it looked like one of those, things that holds up the barriers, at the movie theater, like one of those little pylons or something. And I was just wondering what that was doing in the hallway.
Well, it's like a rammer, something you'd use to ram a door, but a door that's a bit more flexible than.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that Indiana Jones used to break into the floor at the library.
Oh yeah. It's one of those. Yeah.
This is actually, it's actually the same one. This was its little cameo here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, little known.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rapid fire zatting in this too, which is fun to see, because one of my problems with Star Trek and a lot of older sci-fi is that they have these advanced energy weapons, and then it's just like shoot. It's fun to see him like acting like a machine gun.
Yeah, and the sound effects are a little ambiguous too. You don't know if they're double zatting like all the soldiers, because you hear ba-doo, ba-doo, and you're just like, that could just be one zat. And our 10-year-old, I was watching this with him, and he turned to me and said, like, so like, how long after you're zatted do you have to wait before you can be zatted again without it killing you? And I can't recall if that showed up in if that was answered in one of the Wormhole Extreme episodes, because two hits from the zat gun will kill you. And so
I think the first one they did ask about that.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those passing lines that went by,
Yeah, and I think it's like maybe as soon as you no longer feel the effect from the first one, maybe
the charge dissipates or something.
Yeah.
And of course, it stuns you unless you're Jack, and then it just, knocks you on your butt.
Yeah.
Makes you a little loopy for a few seconds.
Yeah.
He's developed a tolerance to it.
It probably wouldn't affect Sergeant Seiler at all then, because he's been electrocuted more times than anybody.
Yeah. You just enter. That's all you've got.
Yeah.
And then we get to the end after they've returned. And this is something that so they get there, and then you get this scene where they're presented with the civilian medal of bravery or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jack gives it to him, and he's like, even though you completely disobeyed my orders, you guys are still heroes. And then Sam comes, and she gives Coombs a kiss on the cheek, but then she goes right in with Felger. Yep. And then it cuts to that, which is, he was daydreaming about that while they're back in the lab working on whatever they're working on. They start insulting each other again. And what I want to know is, at what point does the daydream start? Is this entire episode a daydream, or is it just the ceremony, or is it just the kiss?
It's the ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, the Avenger 2.0 kind of makes it clear that Felger's daydreams are only limited to Samantha Carter and other members of the fairer sex, let us say. No, and this is even on I think the Gay World or something, where Malazzi says that, fans were, because the ending was a daydream, fans started speculating, was the whole thing a daydream, and that wasn't what they were intending to do with it. So, but no, I mean, the daydreaming thing comes back in his next episode.
Nice. Yeah, because at the end there, I kind of thought, was this entire thing, like, did the whole episode just take place them sitting in there and he's thinking about it?
That would have been cool in a way too. I think it works well either way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Inception. Is this top still like, I don't know, whatever, spinning in the background?
Oh yeah. I don't like that movie.
Yeah, or as I call it, van slowly falling into a river or something. That's all I remember about that movie. It's like, why is the van still falling into the river? This is taking forever.
Just call it The Matrix was better.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no. I think Stargate does comedy better than almost any other show I've seen like this, where it's a serious show and it can do both serious drama and like action adventure and comedy. And I feel like Stargate is the most self-aware, but in a way that doesn't just make it a straight up parody.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's because the tone was set, like, by midway through the first season, they'd kind of settled on like a tone, which was we're having fun, but we think this is really cool. We're going to put in all this really cool stuff, so you think it's really cool too. But we're doing this because it's fun.
Yeah, I think that for the upcoming Amazon show, they need to bring back Felger and Coombs.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Have them be like high level, like members of the Stargate Command now or something. They've worked their way up.
They're like head of all the scientists and engineers or something like that.
Or they're still just teaching at Yale and MIT or whatever.
Nice. Awesome. Did you have any other thoughts on this episode?
So there were some of the lines that were pretty good. Yeah, some of Jack's lines kind of did fall a little bit flat, but I love where that the first Prime comes into the cell for the first time, and O'Neill says, "What? No gloating? Take some pride in your work, son."
Yeah.
And then later on, as Jack is being hit with the pain stick, this is what I call pride in my work, and hits him.
Yeah, that was a nice callback where Jack got a little comeuppance.
And then O'Neill even says, "Good job," as he's being.
Yeah.
O'Neill also asks him at one point for his resume. He says, "I captured you." He's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I love that." And then he turns and was like, "How about that resume you want to work? I've been trying to work on that one,
Yeah. Did we have any alternate language fun titles for this, Victor?
Yeah, we did. In a lot of languages, it was the other guys. In French, though, we get acte de bravoure, or bravery. So, central theme of being brave, I guess. In Spanish, we get los otros héros, the other heroes. And then in German, we get wahre Helden, true heroes. So we were just like the other guys, but the other languages picked up on the, theme of heroes, I guess. So
call them not SG1.
Not SG1.
Yeah.
The poor schlubs.
Yes. Awesome. Any other thoughts before we go?
Nope.
Yeah, the only thing is there's a little discussion around whether SG1 has saved the world. Felger thinks it's 7 times. Teal'c corrects him. It's 8. According to the wiki, it's actually where of course they keep track of this. There are 17 prior instances where SG1 had saved the planet, but maybe they don't count all of those.
I wonder what the criteria is, because I feel like every incident kind of indirectly leads to that.
Yeah, even Message in a Bottle with the the virus orb that was planning on wiping out all life on Earth. They stopped that, but they also brought it back, right? So I think that one shouldn't count.
Does it count if you caused the problem in the first place, or is it just a wash?
Maybe that's a wash. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they get paid either way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
You don't have to put on your time card save the world today. You don't get paid.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they're military, so they get paid salary.
Maybe their bonuses are based on how many times they save the world that fiscal year.
That's just their promotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome. Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Sam W., Julia W., Karen M., Isaac K., and Bennett G. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And you can also join us over at sqpn.com/discord. We have our Discord channel over there, and it's a lot of fun. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/starquestmedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG1, Allegiance. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. You try to help people, this is the thanks you get.
I feel that. I work in IT, so I feel that. Once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?